Welcome to the Air Combat Simulation Podcast, brought to you by BVR Productions. Together with content creators, mission builders, experts, and enthusiasts, we explore the comprehensive world of combat aircraft simulation.
Hi, welcome to Air Combat Sim. This is episode 5. I'm here with Baltic Dragon, and we just recorded an episode the other day with a bunch of community members, and I think it was a pretty interesting episode.
Yeah, we came together with no apparent theme or idea. We just talked about things that happened. And since we're going to air this episode pretty soon, it should still be relevant, I guess. Yeah, it was quite interesting. For instance, I wasn't really following the first part. I mean, the one on the community. But yeah, the discussion evolved pretty nicely, I guess. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I thought it evolved really well. We had Sport and Tricker as well as Moltar. So I thought it was a great thing. We talked about some of the current things going on Hoggit, as well as jumping into hardware and talking about future modules. So some really interesting discussion around that. So it was pretty neat, and I think we'll definitely want to do this again.
Yeah, hope you'll enjoy it. I think we'll be doing that from time to time, just to get a break from the themed episodes. I think that's a good idea. So without further ado, let's jump right to it, okay?
Perfect. Here we go.
And he's also avoiding me. Look, whenever I'm around, he's not. Look at the previous podcasts. Only the first one together. Coincidence?
I would say yes. Yeah, because I don't know. I mean, I get the little kid thing. You know, my wife just took the kids out for a bike ride. So in the world of Corona,
it's okay. Corona's not that fast. Shouldn't be.
You know, my kids can outrun it on the bike.
Exactly.
Watch out for Corona.
Oh, what's going on in the US is crazy, especially in New York. It's really crazy.
It's nuts. It's nuts. Now, do you get how is it working for you? You're getting. I see a lot of progress happening on the Raven 1 campaign.
Yeah, basically the whole script is ready. Most of the videos are in, so I'll just work on the voiceovers and start putting everything together and testing it. I mean, the missions are built. I just need to get the voiceovers in and then test them and do the briefings and keyboards and all that stuff, which will be a lot of work too, all the documentation. Because seeing how much attention to detail was paid by Jello and Hoser to the scripts, which are much shorter, the briefings will be, there'll be lots of work on those, which is good.
Hey, Moltar. Sort of Moltar.
He's shy.
You scared him.
I did. I'm scared. Sport, thank you for coming. You are muted, but I'm glad you're here anyways.
I think he was streaming.
Moltar's
Sorry
back.
about that.
Sorry about that. Hey, guys.
Hey. So is everybody having personal distance, doing their social distancing?
I just tell people to go away. So it's no different than my normal life. I mean, that's what I normally do.
I'm trying to hug people more just to see what they do.
That's a good way to get shot.
Yeah, the UPS guy. See if I chase him back to his truck.
So you're that awkward guy, but this time it's possible consequence of death.
Pretty much. No, I would never really hug them. I just when they open the door, I say, hey, it's a sad time. Can I have a hug? And then I just sort of go after them and they're next.
But in Belgium, the normal way of greeting between two guys is not shaking hands; it's kissing the cheek normally. So it's a huge shock for them now. That's weird.
I mean, I've been preparing for this my whole life. Sit at home and play video games for a week. Sign me up.
So BD, you were mentioning. So when do you think? Not a commit, but you got one thing we were waiting on for the Raven 1 campaign was a Super Carrier, which apparently is coming out next month.
Yep.
And then not to commit, but when do you think What are you thinking right now in terms of timeline?
End of June.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I'd really like to push it out before I go for holidays. So I'll do everything to do it. And since I'm working from home, I have more time. So it might work.
It's gonna be cool. I'm really looking forward to it.
It's gonna be nice. I mean, I'm spending too much time playing or flying things I created, but I really enjoy flying Raven 1. It's gonna be nice.
Yeah, boy.
Read or listened to the books?
Sport has.
Yeah, I read Fight actually recently. Fantastic story. It was a sort of a modern day Red Storm Rising, which is one of my favorite books of all time.
Oh yeah, I totally
So-
love the techno thrillers.
Yeah, same here. Raven 1's probably next on my list. I'm not sure if I want to. I think I want to fly the campaign before I read the book, just so there's no spoilers.
Oh, that's interesting. That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
it's true.
I'm not
because
quite sure which is the right order to do that in.
It's true that I try to recreate the missions from the book as they were. I mean, of course, with some changes, but there will be some surprises too. So I think if you read the book first, you'll get a better understanding of the characters and what's going on. If you play the campaign first, of course, the book will also be fun to read, I guess. I don't know.
As I said, I thought it was really cool how much Kevin Miller Hoser got into it, and the detail back and forth, and even you check with even between Jello and Hoser, there was a little bit of they weren't always synced.
Yeah, it's funny sometimes when, especially on the missions that are taken from the book. So I just copy paste things from different chapters, and then Jill would chime in and saying that, well, this is not how it should be done. And it's funny. Oh yeah, but it was like that in the book. Okay, but in the end, we just leave it as it is in the book, because as Jill says, it's the comms in combat or in the mission are never like a textbook comms. It'll always something will be different than as it should be said.
What was that one thing you kept going back after, like going in hot?
Yeah, in hot. So the pilots will never say that they're in hot. It's only the JTAC that will do that. And the thing with AWACS, the whole brackles or pictures, that's horrible. I can't. I mean, every time in 15 missions, I'm writing that stuff, just looking at the previous ones to make it right, and I'm always having something wrong. It's funny.
So what you're telling me, the reason the book is terrible is because of you.
Well, yeah. You nailed it.
So sorry I was late. What's the topic currently?
It is an open topic. Anything you want to talk about, Dave?
Eurofighter.
Oh yeah.
Let's just
Yeah,
get
we
that
will.
out of the way. Let's just throw that out there. I mean, that kind of took everybody by storm earlier this week.
Well, they had to release
1.5
something.
Mach Super Cruise, maybe the Meteor,
They had to release something after all the craziness that happened this week.
That is true.
Defer
That is very
the.
true.
They had to defer the attention.
Well, define craziness, or can you enlighten? No?
Nope.
Okay. Just,
I don't even know where to.
I'll
I
say
don't
that
even know
in
where to start.
English. Are we going to talk about the craziness that's taken over Hoggit lately, or
Yeah,
which
that
craziness are we
that
taking?
craziness.
Talk
I
about?
don't even know where to start to bring that up.
You just did.
Are we allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, so this is like this session is like a gloves off kind of session. Is that what this is? Oh, okay.
Maybe we should name it like that.
Gloves off.
Gloves off. Episode 5. Gloves off.
Love it.
I got it. So, who wants to give the synopsis here? We're talking about a certain squadron doing a certain thing that a certain majority or everyone in the community didn't like. Is that what we're talking about? So the synopsis for anybody that doesn't know is Grim Reapers came out and said that they were going to provide paid lessons to the community by professionals. And that was not taken very well. I'll just put it like that. The community has not gotten behind that idea as of yet. And there's been multiple people that have come out and posted things on Hoggit and probably on the forums and all over Discord. And it's been the talk of the week.
But
Grim Reapers are back in the spotlight.
Did they say they were professionals or experts in the field?
I saw some professional comments. I saw that Cap was likening it to shooting free throws with Shaq.
Yeah, I
Which
saw
is
that.
hilarious because Shaq was such a well-renowned free throw
Oh,
shooter.
he's one of the best.
how it was. It's something he definitely didn't want to do. So.
Yeah, I like the idea of offering people mentoring, but I don't like the idea if you're trying to grow the community, putting it behind a paywall.
Yeah, I think and that's a really good point because I think there's so many people out there that actually, what I've encountered, and that's just and you and I have talked about this, but I'm absolutely for more of a structured growth, but there's so many people out there that are doing it, and you and I talked about it, and I was unaware about how at the squadron level, what amount of training happens there. And and I think that part of the challenge when I saw that this week was just like, you shake your head and you're like, that's I guess that's going to be somebody else's taste, probably not mine, but
Yeah. Well, a big thing to me, having done the competitive side of DCS and all that, there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of people that want to offer training. The hard part is finding people that offer the right kind of training. Like take Chuck's guides for instance. His training that he offers in the written word is the right kind of training. He offers the correct things to do in situations. He takes you through like how the jet operates. I mean, he doesn't get into the combat and stuff, but how the jet works. And you got to make sure that if you're going to go after people to train you, that you're going to be trained in the right way so that you're not later going to find out, crap, I have now these ingrained horrible habits of doing things the wrong way that I now have to unlearn and then relearn the right way again. I think that's really important for people to remember. So it's one thing to offer training, but you want to make sure that if you do it, that you're going to teach people the right way, because there are a lot of people in the community that are going to jump down your throat if you don't. Well, let's face it, they're going to jump down your throat even if you do it right.
Sure. Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, for sure. There's certainly just as a relatively new guy to the community and just watching on the sidelines, I don't think there's any nobody holds back. There's certainly a lot of people with opinions.
Not when anonymity is involved.
Yes, indeed. Well, but I mean, but back to this topic of like, why was it? What was it? I think that there's a perspective that that maybe Grim Reapers is an acquired taste, or it fits certain people's styles than others. And then there were also the topics of like the incorrect use of other people's work.
Yeah.
And
yeah, there was. I know the top comment on one of those threads was Chuck's image, but
yep.
I don't want to delve too far into it because I don't want to get sucked into picking sides. And
no. But I think it's just I would say that I don't know. It's just one of those things that you do see people diving way into. Some people screw up. There's no doubt, but it's always interesting to watch how it fire on Hoggit.
Well, some people have asked me in the past, since I'm a actual flight instructor, it's like, oh, well, have you ever thought about giving people instruction online or doing tutorial videos like that? And I am very careful about that personally, because there are laws here in the US regarding flight training. And then you open yourself up for a lot of trouble if you start marketing yourself as offering any sort of training, flight training, and somebody goes out and tries to do something in real life. And, obviously there are so many stupid and frivolous lawsuits out there that can occur. I just think that the risk is way too high. Making tutorial videos, maybe personal coaching one-on-one and stuff like that, yeah, fine. But marketing yourself for lessons and then accepting payment for them, I think you're setting yourself up for a real dangerous scenario if you don't have any sort of legal counsel helping you along the way.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think there's definitely some. I mean, I completely agree, but I mean, as we look at this, what is the right approach? Is it is it okay for someone to take money for lessons, or is that the issue, or is it the value for the money, or
I don't know that there's an issue with taking money. I mean, people would frown upon it, but I think the issue is some people view this as, like I said, if the people offering the lessons have said it's like shooting free throws with Shaq. You're being offered, insight from a professional or a famous DCS personality or what have you.
right.
I think it's one thing to offer money. It's another. It's something completely different to market yourself that may not fit your actual representation. You're not representing yourself necessarily correctly, and I think that's more what the community's upset about.
Got it. So might be a good. So let's if we've got enough on that, how about before we do go too deep, how about Eurofighter? Back to that.
That kind of caught me off guard. Did it catch anybody else off guard?
It did. It's okay. I
It's
guess
okay.
my only thought, I guess, on this whole entire situation is I don't care if you want to make money, but don't market yourself as an expert if you don't have any credentials. And that's all I will say about that.
But what do you think about Eurofighter?
I think the Eurofighter is pretty. Eurofighter is actually pretty sexy, man. I actually watched. I listened to Jello's interview with the Eurofighter guy.
I'm hoping hardcore that it doesn't turn into a VAIO or a VEAO Hawk, VO Hawk, however you pronounce their name.
Well, for the users that don't know what happened, can you enlighten them what happened?
So how do you say that developer's name? VO?
I think it's just VO.
VO. So
I just call
VO
him VEAO.
was a developer for DCS not too long ago, and they brought out a module called the Hawk, and it was the Hawk is a really famous plane. A lot of aerobatics teams use it. It's trainers. There's an armed version that some countries still use. It's an awesome plane, but the deployment of this module was not very good, to put it nicely. It wasn't very well developed. You know, the missile, if you flew it on a PvP server, you could shoot it like 30 times and it wouldn't die, be flying without wings. I mean, it was all kinds of stuff that wasn't related to lag or desync or anything like that. And then I've heard that the flight model wasn't all that great either. And then what ended up happening is that VO ended up leaving or dismantling its organization or its developer, or however you want to put it. And then ED removed the Hawk from the game, so nobody could use it anymore.
You're telling me it wasn't supposed to fly without wings?
Well, I mean, maybe if it was a flying tennis court like the F-15, but I don't think the Hawk is being able to do that. So
I don't think that the real. I mean, the issue wasn't even the poor modeling or damage model and stuff like that. I think a lot of it had to do with the poor interaction with the community that the company had, though, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think that kind of comes down to the crux of all of the situations we're talking about, which is community interaction between the members of the community and public members of the community and developers and things like that. And for me, I think the main issue is just lack of respect for either public members of the community towards the rest of the community, and then the community towards developers and high visibility public members. And you can not like what somebody's doing, but you can still be respectful about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will say, though, take that moment to say that Eagle Dynamics is doing a phenomenal job in that. I remember even a few years ago, you wouldn't hear anything from them for months, if not a year. And now we hear things almost every day.
Yeah, their tone has changed quite a bit, and certain community managers have definitely changed the way they handle the community and the way they interact. I think there's still room for improvement, but I agree with you. I think they've been doing a much better job. Big Nui, I got to give a big shout out to him because he's been fantastic with answering people's questions and being respectful and kind of keeping things on an even keel.
Yeah, I concur. But why do you think it could go the same path as Hawk, I mean, the Eurofighter?
Yeah, that's my worry. Unknown developer entering, and we don't really know what's going to happen, and that's my worry.
Didn't they say that they're going to be? I think they acknowledged that the problem with it, and they were going to be doubling down. I mean, the list that they gave with that group that was putting together seemed, at least to me, impressive.
For me, the main worry is that, I mean, it's used by by quite a few countries still, and I think lots of stuff is really top secret at this point. So I don't know how realistic or how good it will be, and how much will be just educated guess or, I don't know, a very simplified thing, which we'll, of course, we'll never know, but still.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I mean, as for the new developer worries, look at Deca Ironworks. They kind of hit it out of the park on the first try with the JF-17. So I'll keep an open mind until it actually arrives. As for the classified stuff, it's a simulation, so they're simulating a result. I mean, I don't think they probably have access or will release like the inner workings of maybe how it gets to that result. But who knows? I don't know enough about it, about the Eurofighter, to know what its classified capabilities are. But I think it's going to be an interesting addition for sure. It's got a lot of people excited.
Who's the main user of? I know there's several countries, but like who has the most Eurofighters? Like what country?
I think the UK. I think the RAF does.
And it's just mainly a air-to-air fighter, I guess.
No, it does everything.
Yeah, it does everything. I think it's UK, Germany. I think Italy have some. Not sure. Everyone's getting F-35s now.
Yeah, I think the Italy does. I think Spain does, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know how true it is, but I was reading some of the comments in the forums, and they were talking about if you have like an RWR spike, you can actually shoot a missile, not even locking them up with the radar. You can just shoot it via you being locked up on the RWR or something like that. I don't know if you guys read that. I don't know how true that is.
Well, I don't know either, but I would assume there's a lot of things that the jets can do that came in much later blocks and variants than what we have access to in DCS, or that would be able to be turned into a module. Like I'm sure the newer F-15s and stuff, the F-16s have tons of toys that we don't know about that we would never be able to get in the sim.
Trigger, even now we can, when you get spike, you can shoot a missile.
Just pull the trigger.
Yeah, just goes.
And hopefully a teammate's not in front of you.
True. The biggest thing that I've heard people talk about is its power to weight ratio, which I don't know that I'm on complete board with. Some people are saying in combat it's like 2-to-1, which, to put that in perspective, the F-16 with a full fuel load is 1.13, I think. And the F-22 is like right around there. And they're saying the Eurofighter, this is where I disagree, because it's Wikipedia. Our teachers screwed us when we were growing up saying that Wikipedia is not a good source. I have yet to find something really on Wikipedia that isn't accurate or pretty close to being accurate. And Wikipedia says that the Eurofighter weighs 36,000 pounds and has 40,000 pounds of thrust, wet thrust, which would put it right about where the F-16's power to weight ratio is.
I really liked how you said wet thrust.
I was waiting.
If that's what gets you going, Tricker, I'm happy to just repeat it. Wet thrust.
Yeah, thank
On
you.
Wikipedia, clearly you didn't see any, probably you didn't read any posts about politicians. That probably change your. But coming to Eurofighter, I read that the Germans, I mean, it has a very good IR sensors, and the Germans and the Red Flag in Alaska, they went pretty. I mean, it went pretty well for them against the Raptors. So I think it can be very dangerous opponent.
Absolutely, yeah, I would agree. Not saying it wouldn't be a dangerous opponent. I just don't think I quite get behind all the things that people are spewing out as of lately about it.
So let's speculate. What side do you think it would be on, Blue 4 or Red 4?
I think you put it on Blue 4 and you keep the F-16 on Red 4.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But in PvP, it may be, depending on how they do it, a complete imbalancer to the sim. Especially if it gets the Meteor.
And what is the Meteor? Is that the new missile?
It's the scramjet missile, isn't it? Is it Isn't it? Or am I just spewing stuff? Spewing nonsense.
You're spewing Wikipedia right now.
No, it uses a different engine that's really efficient and gives it power through the majority of its flight path. But don't quote me on that, because the US doesn't use them, and I am by no means a aircraft aficionado. I just fly them from my armchair and shoot down other armchair people.
I think for Meteor, it's it's a long range. If I remember correctly, it's over 150 kilometers, and yeah, it's pretty new missile. If I remember, it's like 2 million euros per unit, and it's been in use since 2016. So it's really recent.
I don't see us getting that.
Does anybody know if it has any off-bore sight missile capability, short range?
It does. They have a missile.
Carry
That's
the X, I think.
They have a missile that's like equivalent to the AIM-9X.
Is
Well,
that
the
the
early-
Star Streak or what do they call it?
I'm not sure. I was listening to the Jello interview last night, and the interviewee, the guest, was actually talking about it. So it's actually a pretty cool interview.
I think the early variants actually carried the 120 and the AIM-9,
That's
Yeah, so
correct. I've seen
He said they
pictures of
carried
that.
the MRAM.
which is more than likely what we're going to get. I can't see us getting a later variant, especially from 2016 that would carry the Meteor. I just don't see that happening.
Oh, ye of little faith.
I always have little faith. I like to be proven wrong. Going skeptical.
When ED said that they're gonna unveil a new kind of iconic jet fighter, I thought they would give us F-15, but fully clickable.
The Eurofighter isn't it.
Yeah, so that's what's interesting. So Eagle Dynamics have confirmed that the module they're going to reveal later this year is not the Eurofighter. So speculation on what it is.
All right.
I'm saying MiG-29 or F-15.
I'm gonna say, either MiG-29 or Su-27, full fidelity.
I'm going with the Cessna 172.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
I think
Just
the plane that the sim
fly.
needs the most is a C-130.
That'd be cool, but it would be boring, I think.
I think look how big the Civi market is for sim, and then think about being able to bring part of them in with the C-130.
You talking about like an AC-130 or just like a C-130?
I don't know, both. I don't know.
AC-130 would be awesome.
I mean, if it was an AC-130, that'd be kind of cool. But
Spectre would be cool.
It would be, that would be great.
Well, multiple variants would be neat, especially if you could modularly load them and stuff like that. But I would have fun doing airborne drops or lapes drops and things like that. Other tactical insertions, in a multiplayer environment.
Yeah.
What is it? They have the JTO takeoff.
Yep.
they do.
That the Blue Angels Fat Albert uses.
Yeah.
Heck, I think you'd find people who'd be willing to even fly it as a tanker. Just drone circles in the
Yeah.
sky.
That's what I was about to
Yeah.
say.
I mean, there are plenty of people you can find online who have no problem flying on autopilot, circles in the sky or long range. There are people who do, like 15-hour long range flights on Microsoft Flight Simulator. So
I know, which is ridiculous.
Well, they
And
did
isn't most of
drop-
that autopilot?
it is.
Yeah.
They,
What do
they
you
go to
drop?
bed. They set it and they go to bed. I know some
Why?
people do it. It's their way of having fun. I mean, that's definitely I do it for a living, and I don't think I would ever do that in the comfort of my own home. But some people just really aspire to that. They have fun with it. There are like virtual airlines that they can earn quote unquote revenue from by flying legs and things like that. So there's a whole market for it. And if people want to have fun that way, I'm all for it. It's definitely not for me.
No, I think you're right, though. I think the C-130, I guess, I thought it would be kind of boring for me. But if you think
Yeah.
about it, you can have the AC-130 because you can have a gunship. You can have a C-130. You can just do like transport drops, stuff like Sport was talking about. But you can also have the refueling, so you can do
Mhm.
refueling as well. I mean, you could do all sorts of different things. And also, in
Wow.
real life, the mother of all bombs was actually dropped out of the C-130 for testing
I was just thinking
purposes.
about that. Yeah.
That'd be a great way to crash a server.
I was actually in
just-
school when they dropped it because I used to live in Fort Walton Beach, and that's where they did the testing. So when I was in high school, they actually dropped it, and you can actually feel the ground shake, which actually was pretty cool.
Wow. But it wouldn't be boring. I'm just reading a book right now. I don't remember the name, about Vietnam War, and one of the pilots that is the C-130 pilot. Before that, something else, but also transport plane, and it's amazing stories that he's telling. Like the ones when they were transporting livestock from one place to another, and they had a emergency, and they had to drop it all still in the air into the sea. But,
God.
Yeah.
it wasn't boring, definitely.
All right, ED, if you're listening to this and you do a C-130, you have to put that mission into the sim.
And cows. Yeah.
Well, they already announced cows, but we got to
Exactly.
be able to have an emergency and shove the cows out of the back of the plane into the ocean.
Oh, yeah, they would have to texture the cows. 'Cause I think they're in already, but without texture.
Yeah, probably. Guys, I do love nature. I love animals. Do not take that against me. That was a joke.
I heard you're a vegan.
Pete is going to release a statement denouncing this podcast now.
Well, what other aircraft, as we're talking about the speculation of what they're going to make, what else do you think they would make?
It'd
What would the F-15 look like?
be a C variant.
Yeah. I mean, it would just be taking the existing one, making it high fidelity.
But do you think they would
Yeah.
actually do that with Razban
Yeah.
making the Strike Eagle?
Probably.
They would. I mean, that's the
I
only
mean, they're
reason
two
why not.
completely different airplanes.
Yeah.
They're different performance. They have different roles.
The conformal fuel tanks tank its performance. It's nowhere near as agile, I think, the Mud Hen is as the actual Eagle.
How about like a cool attack airplane, like the A6 or something like that for another carrier based?
Well, that's Heapler, right?
Well, I have on good authority that that's probably not going to be a developed module from them.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
AI,
A6
I
would be
think.
cool.
I was just trying to throw some speculation out there.
I mean,
Another-
my heart leans towards Vietnam era aircraft, so I would love to see like an F-100 or even an A-1 Skyraider. I think those are too niche for ED to go after.
I
But
think they
that's-
could do an A1H Cobra.
Isn't somebody doing the A6?
Well,
No,
Heapler was going to, but they're not.
They
think it was
announced it
for
as AI, I think. only.
AI purposes, though.
Now we're also all talking about fixed wing. What about rotary wing? I think there's a good case
Cobra.
for the Apache coming.
Yeah.
Cobra they announced before, and they were supposed to do it, but they I think postponed it. So I would say
Oh.
Apache.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put money on the Apache if it's a rotary wing module.
Yeah, the Apache, I think, though, people may be disappointed because there's no way it would be a longbow. That'd be too classified, wouldn't it?
True, but yeah, I don't know.
You've already got the Mi-24.
So it needs a good counter. I mean, the Blue 4 needs a good
A good attack helicopter.
Yeah,
and
it's just a
Red
good
4 needs a
dedicated one.
good- Red 4 needs a good air-to-air fighter.
The other one that I think may be a possibility would be a full fidelity Su-25.
yeah, I would really enjoy that as well.
I was just thinking it would be something that they don't have already. As of
If not, you got the Sentry fighters, some World War II stuff, a couple helicopters, cargo.
Boy,
Maybe
I
you
heard
do-
the F-100 was crazy to fly. I saw a documentary on that the other day, and they were talking about how we just roll, and it was one of the hardest planes.
Yeah, I've heard
So-
that too, but you got to think about what would generate sales for ED. I don't know that
Let's see.
Sentry fighters would necessarily generate sales.
How about like a bomber, like the B-1 bomber, flying the bones?
are our maps big enough for a B1?
You would start off map.
It would.
I'm just saying, man. Like, how
That
cool
would be
would it
cool.
be to have
That
a
would be
B-1
awesome.
bomber to go in and go blow stuff up?
I mean, the
up
next
and
close
and
thing to that would
Moltars.
be a tornado, right?
Tornado would be great. Yeah.
It's pronounced tornado.
Shut up, Tricker.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing beautifully well.
Yeah, I don't know. They've kept us really in the dark. I really hope it doesn't turn out to be like another Mac announcement where they said it was going to be one thing and then everybody got really hyped and then it was not anything like what we thought it was going to be. So I hope it doesn't turn out to be.
So when is this Mariana's map coming?
About the same time as the Syria map.
I
When's
haven't
the
heard
Syria
anything
map?
about that.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything either. They released screenshots, there were like videos and all this other stuff, and then it kind of disappeared into the ethos.
When's the Syria map supposed to come out?
Around the time of Mariana map.
You guys are a huge help.
No,
Nobody
yeah,
knows.
they've gone kind of quiet. I mean, I think we're all waiting on 3 maps: the Falklands map, the Syria map, and the Marianas map. I think are all in development, but there's been very little updates about them over the last, 6 months to a year.
The other one was the channel, right? That got announced, didn't it?
So we're waiting for 4 maps.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Vietnam.
2.
So to get the F5,
Uh-huh.
what are the what are the what about the F4?
What happened to the
So,
F4? That was
I
originally
think they
announced.
put that on hold, I believe. That's
It
been on
was-
hold.
Yeah, it was supposed to be done by Balsim Tech, but then they joined ED, and then I don't know, they stopped it or frozen it.
I think it's going to be an F15. If
I
I
think so
had
too.
money, I'd put it almost entirely, if not all of it, in that basket.
I mean, they've already done all the homework on it.
And I think it's ready. I saw some video of F15 with all those click things in the cockpit that are actually clickable and movable and animated. So it's ready for that.
I mean, yes and no. I would argue though that those models are so old. They would probably have to do a completely new 3D model to bring it up to the same standard as the F16 and F18. Obviously new texturing and everything. So as plug and play as we want it to be, I think it would be a quite an undertaking for them to actually put that into the sim as a full fidelity module.
Yeah, no, I think it would probably be. I'm just thinking from a software standpoint, and at least what I was listening to is they said that a lot of it, so much of it, has to do with research, and I think to your point, the model would have to be redone, but at least it would be a boost, I think, in that direction, at least from a licensing standpoint.
What about something? So they've talked about redoing the tower comms, GCI, combined arms. They're heavy into this carrier thing with the super carrier, the Hornet, the Tomcat, all that stuff. What if they did something like an E2? You kind of get everything. You got cargo, you got AWACS, you got a tanker. Plus, it's on a carrier. It's on a boat. So you're rounding out that echelon of aircraft that are being able to be out there.
That'd be cool, but I'm when you said that, like, I'm thinking in the back of my head where ED said that this is only a single player game. How would that sell anything if you're in an E2 Hawkeye?
That's a good point. I don't know.
I'm
I think
just throwing
Trigger's
that out
right.
there.
More along single player. Yeah, I'm thinking immediately about a campaign for that, and that would be kind of boring, I guess.
That's true.
Launch the Hawkeye.
Yes. Here I go again.
Yeah.
But off the topic of
13 hours.
Off the topic of new modules, what do people think about updates that have come out recently for ED and what's supposed to come out in the future? I mean, 2.5.6 hasn't done very well on the multiplayer side, but it's been crashing. But the planes have gotten some new toys. The missiles specifically have gotten a lot better. The AMRAAM is way better than it was, even though it's supposed to get more fine tuning. What are your guys' thoughts and feelings about what's come out recently and what's coming supposedly in the near future?
I think my biggest takeaway from 2.5.6 is like the lighting, especially at night. I used to hate flying at night because I couldn't see anything. Even though you had a flashlight, the flashlight didn't really even light up the cockpit. But now, like, nighttime looks beautiful, and I have no problems like flying at night. And I think that was my biggest thing. But they fixed the missiles, which is great for a multiplayer standpoint.
Well, they're not totally fixed. They still have some problems. Guidance is still an issue, but the drag is definitely a lot better.
Agreed.
Well, from my point of view, it made lots of things much more difficult for the campaigns, especially the ground units, movement, etc. So I'm not a big fan of 2.5.6, but having said that, they're fixing it, so it's good.
What's
Yeah, that
wrong
was
with
my
the
other-
ground units?
Oh, like lots of ground units just refused to move. Guys, I mean, they just sit there where you put them in the beginning of the mission. Especially that's true for the old missions. So many missions of my campaigns were just borked because some of the units would not move. They would spawn and just stop in place, even without any triggers.
Well, did you
Yeah,
put
but you're
gas
a
in them?
dictator and they're cooing against you.
Yeah, I always suspected that.
So, my other question for you, Moltar, is I think they did something with the sounds. Didn't they protect the sounds, and now like the sounds are
Oh.
messed up?
I don't know what happened. They completely changed the sound environment or the sound engine on the backside. None of the files are where they used to be. They've moved them all into the sounds directory and they're not named anymore. They're like in hashed files. However, we figured out with sound mods that you can still put them in save games and they work. So I don't think it's ED trying to hide things, because I've seen at least one post from somebody that works at ED saying that they're going to release a list of file locations so that they can be edited. I don't think they're trying to hide things. I think they're just revamping stuff and making it easier and more efficient for calls to be made. So I got all my stuff to still work, but they've definitely changed some stuff, and people were not happy about it initially. But with all their most recent planes that have come out, the F-18 was a step in the right direction. It sounded a lot better. It was modded, not by myself, but it was modded and got to sound even better. But the F-16, man, their sound guy's doing some serious work. He's gotten a lot better, or they've hired somebody new, because the F-16 sounds baller.
Were you going to say something about that, Sport?
Nope, sorry about that.
It's all good.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that they've changed in the file structure in the back end of stuff. I don't think they have. One of the best additions that I've seen recently was the ability to remove the bloody reflections from the cockpit. Man, that was a huge and awesome change that they put in there. Those baked-in reflections.
I heard a lot of people didn't like. Yeah, I heard a lot of people didn't like it, but I like it, and I don't know. I saw some pictures on Hoggit where like people's reflections look completely different than what mine looked like. I think it looks realistic. I'm not sure what was going on with that, but sometimes my reflections look different than anybody else's reflections, so I didn't have a problem. I thought it looked pretty cool, but that's just me.
To each their own. That was a big change for me. I don't think. I mean, Twiz came out not too long ago for both planes, for the 16 and the 18.
Yeah, that's been pretty cool.
We have submarines that can submerge now. Yeah, that's recent. Well,
That's true.
I don't think it works, but it's getting there.
So what would be the scenario? Like you just at least if you're planning like the sub's going to show up at a certain place at a certain time, or if you're planning a campaign, what would you do with that, BD?
Well, I tried it for Raven 1, but in the end I had to spawn it, because you can either have it underwater or have it on the surface, but there's no transition between the two for the moment. So, yeah.
So it's either, hey, I'm hidden, or hey, guys, what's up?
And even if it's underwater, you could still see the wake on the surface. I mean, you have to be very low to see it, but it's there. So they have some work to do, but I think it's going in a good direction.
That's new submarine technology. I'm not allowed to talk about it, but
Well, it's the caterpillar drive.
Dude,
One ping only,
I was
facility.
just about to say that. That's my favorite. My favorite line, especially when he dies and he's like, "I would like to have seen Montana." I love that movie.
Good movie.
It's a great movie.
So,
Very DCS like.
So I'm going to changing topic just for a second. I'm just totally curious. What hardware do you guys have?
In what
Uh,
capacity?
Have you built your own computers? Do you buy them off the shelf? What kind of, there's peripherals, like what kind of, sticks do you have? What do you, I'm just curious in terms of like, now Moltar, I know you've got everything and then some. And actually, Jabbers just got me to, showed me his 49-inch Samsung display. So that's now right behind me.
Oh, you bought one.
I did. So
Yeah.
it's pretty
Jabbers
phenomenal.
and I are terrible influences on people's wallets.
Yes. Don't
It's a
tell my
good
wife.
time.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. If you guys build your own computers, or what's the standard for you guys?
So
I
I
don't
bought
think-
mine off the shelf. I just bought one in December. I bought a HP Omen Obelisk that came with a 2080 Ti, an Intel i9-9900K, 16 gigs of RAM. I mean, it's a screamer of a computer, and I kind of got it pre-built. It's made to be upgraded and things like that. I don't know anything about building computers. I'm so computer illiterate when it comes to that stuff that it's not even funny. So I decided to go with, something a little bit. I went easy mode.
Man, it's
Was
like
it built-
Legos.
Was it built in China?
I hope not, because I'm not going to open it up to see what the air tastes like.
That's how COVID-19 got here. Came in sports computer.
That's right.
Sports computer started it all.
That's why it's called the Omen.
The Omen.
Nailed it.
Computer Zero.
What was it called? The Obelisk?
Yeah.
And so
It's
fancy.
a cool name for a
It
computer.
is.
Yeah, right.
I've always built mine. The case I have, I've used it for several different builds, but I just kind of upgrade as I go, parts and pieces. Then when I have to do the processor, obviously I have to do the pretty much everything: RAM, motherboard, processor.
Now, how many computers do you have?
Around me, especially for when I stream, 7.
7.
Oh
Okay.
my god.
It seems reasonable.
Just for daily operations, I utilize 4.
You also have a small power plant.
I was about to
I had-
ask, do you have a nuclear reactor?
I had to run 3 20-amp circuits over to where my computer is because I draw.
I've
especially
always
when I'm
said that,
streaming and stuff.
people need a hobby, but I think you found one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true, but it's just it. I used to work IT. I was a network engineer for 10 years, and I would just acquire stuff. What people don't realize is when you get builds and stuff this big, like Jabbers and Mines, you're not buying everything at once. I mean, I've gotten monitors and stuff over years and years and years, and I'll buy open box stuff at certain points. So I'll buy like the 34-inch ultra wides, my smaller ones that I have a couple of. I got open box at Micro Center for like $150 a piece, which I saw them. I wasn't even trying to buy anything. I was like, I can't say no. I'd be losing money on this. So I bought those. But a lot of it's just buying things as they become available and then holding on to things for years.
Just imagine if we were on AOL still. That'd be kind of crazy.
I can't imagine that. Some people are.
Yeah, that's
On
what's great.
AOL?
Well, it's either that they actually use it or they're old people and they've forgotten that they're still paying the subscription.
They still have CDs with like 500 hours free.
Wow.
Do they?
I don't know. I used to have those
don't
like
know,
CDs from
probably.
like a long time ago. That was like,
That
hey,
would come in the magazines?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're premium now. You can sell them on eBay. They're
Collector's item.
We found out Goat's side hobby.
Yeah.
He's an
Stop.
AOL disc collector.
Have you used that 49-inch goat?
No. Yes.
No? Oh,
Yes.
you have.
Yes.
What do you think of it?
That's amazing. It's fantastic. I was trying to wait for one that was going to have a built-in KVM, but
What do you need a
when I saw
KVM
it-
for?
What's that?
What do you need a KVM for?
Well, if I had 7 computers, no, just to switch back and forth.
I use a virtual KVM. It's all done over the network. I just hold shift and drag my mouse to all the different computers. And then when the mouse moves, my keyboard goes to that computer. So you don't even need a KVM anymore.
Okay, well, I'm gonna need that link.
Look up a program called Multiplicity.
Okay.
That's what I
Right.
use.
One more thing for the show notes. That's fantastic. That sounds really cool.
And so you can drag to different computers, but you can also do virtual KVMs where you can hit a hotkey and it'll bring up that monitor so you can access it like on another monitor if you wanted to, if you don't have a monitor for that machine. So
Well, that sounds really cool to me.
it is. It's awesome. It's the only way to make it function. Otherwise, I'd have 7 keyboards around me. Because KVMs, the problem with them is they don't support monitors typically above 1080p, and the 4K ones cost a lot of money.
Yeah, no, no, for sure. I looked at it and I actually tried to wife set up for her when she started working at home, and I was trying to do this. I don't know. I have a lot of parts in the garage. I can't even give away. Failed projects, failed tech projects.
Sell them.
I shall. Yeah. With 2 5-year-old boys, I really don't have much time to do builds.
Well, then you donate them to me.
I will donate them to you. You ask and wait till you get that box, buddy.
Oh, well, I'll take any tech stuff I can get. I just got boxes behind me, but it is nice to be able to just, I need this kind of cable or this whatever, and be able to go back there and find it.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
that monitor though, it's pretty fantastic.
He's running a Radio Shack out of his office.
Jack.
Before Jabbers bought his 49, I tried talking him into a 65 because I play on a 65 4K, and I've got a 38-inch ultra wide, so I know what it's like to play on an ultra wide. I had that before my TV, but once you go big, man, small just doesn't cut it anymore. You're stretched out, and it just doesn't work.
Insert Tricker. Tricker, do you have a comment here?
As always.
I have it, baby. I have it.
Oh my God.
But the next thing that I'm waiting for is that I might end up doing is changing this LED that I've got into an OLED for DCS, because I've got an OLED upstairs in our living room, and man, there's no comparison to picture quality, anything even close to an OLED.
I think my iPhone's an OLED.
Yeah, the newer iPhones are OLEDs,
I
but
think
just
so.
the ability of the Pixel to actually turn off and get true blacks, it's second to none.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting to me because, you know, as a relatively new guy, whether it comes to the microphones and to the whole thing, that's why I always enjoy hearing, and that's why I ask the question of like, what does everybody's setup look like? And then even I was asking Dut when he travels, what does he take with him? Because he was saying he uses, you know, he'll play DCS on the road, so it's very interesting to me to see. You know, what people have invested in terms of the gear and things like that. Moltar, I think that no expenses, you know, nothing's been spared. It's very impressive.
It's funny you mentioned that because I actually I tested the Tomcat when it was in pre-development on the road while I was in G650 school with my gaming laptop.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, so I was given early access to it and helped them with some of the testing and stuff like that. And from my hotel room in Wilmington, Delaware, was able to do some testing and gaming on DCS like that.
Now, what does that look like? Do you take Track IR with you, or how do you?
So before Track IR even existed, I got proficient using a mouse for looking around with my left hand, and that's kind of what I reverted back to. You know, when I was doing the testing and things like that. It's difficult to be. I mean, you could bring Track IR with you, and I'm sure if I was gonna DCS on the road now, I probably would. But on a 15-inch monitor, it definitely makes it difficult to do anything, you know, whether it be seeing ground targets or whatever it may be. And I'm really spoiled with my peripherals, but there are options for people out there who want to game on the road. And I think, you know, there are some really, really good laptop solutions out there, and good travel joysticks. Like my T16000M is my travel HOTAS, and it works really well on the road.
Have you ever flown virtual airplanes while flying a real airplane?
I have not, but I have a friend who has gotten a kill in PUBG while flying a B-24.
What?
Yeah, probably. I'm sure that sentence has never been said before in human history, but there you go.
While flying a B-25?
A B-24, actually.
What?
This was in 1944.
Yeah.
A long time ago in 1944.
Let me tell you a story, kids.
I was playing a game called Fortnite.
Yeah.
Oh, let's not talk about Fortnite. Son,
Yeah,
plays
come on.
Fortnite.
It was PUBG. It's a legitimate game. No, but that was kind of interesting. But yeah, it would be neat to fly a virtual airplane while flying a real airplane. But I think that's even a little nerdy even for me.
Hey, Goat, I gotta step off.
Right.
But it's been a pleasure. I don't want to keep you guys. I mean,
No,
just
we're
stepping away
at
and not being here.
We're at the top of the hour, and if anybody's got to jump, that's fine. And I think we'll probably end up wrapping up here in a few minutes. But I still am interested. For those that want to tell me, I mean, do you have what sticks does everybody use?
I've got
I
an
got the-
FSSB.
FSSP, right?
I use the Warthog.
Yeah, same here.
I use the Virpil T50 Mongoose base with a Warthog grip and a X55 throttle and the TPR, the Thrustmaster TPR rudder pedals.
Yeah, I got the Thrustmaster TPR rotor pedals.
I got a super hodgepodge system.
I mean, I like a lot of the Virpil equipment. I've bought a couple pieces that just have stopped working.
Hodgepodge. I've got the Real Simulator FSSB stick with a Wing throttle and Thrustmaster pedals.
How do you like the wing stuff?
I do not like the stick.
Yeah.
I thought I would really like it. I don't. It's too. So I've got a Hornet grip that I can compare it to, and the Wing is much smaller. The grip is, and I just don't. I thought it would. They marketed it as having a really heavy axis throw and stuff, and it doesn't. I mean, it's about. It feels like my Gunfighter did when I had my Gunfighter. The throttle though is awesome. The throttle is fantastic. I got an early release version, which we found out later they were test versions. They weren't production models. So I had a wire shear off. But other than that, after I fixed it, man, there's nothing like it. It's got full-on axis knobs for lighting controls. It's got finger lifts for afterburner. I've got adjustable push-through detents and friction levers. All of the slew on the actual grip is like the upgraded slew that you can get for the Warthog, except it comes on it. And the throw on it is really, really long. So it's probably double the length of what it is for the Warthog for the throttle. So I have no complaints there.
I thought that stick was pretty expensive, isn't it?
Expensive does not mean good.
There's $1,000 for both, and they don't sell them separately, do they?
Oh,
No.
wow.
The best stick I've ever used still, and I've used pretty much all of them, is the Real Simulator, without question. I got Jabbers to get one, and he's like, I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm downstream. I ended up getting one as well. So, but I really like. So the way I have it set up, I've got both. So F-16 to the right and the Hornet stick in the middle. So depending on what I'm doing.
So do you like? I gotta ask because I thought about buying the F-18 grip for the Warthog. Do you think it's better than the A-10 one, or?
Oh yeah,
really?
The F-18 grip is the best grip on the market out of everybody. It feels the best. Its buttons are fantastic. It's got this really meaty pull on all of the buttons and all of the presses. It's just really, really well done.
Did you have to go through and rebind everything?
I don't remember. I haven't used it for a while. I don't think so, but I don't remember.
Because I haven't really heard much about it. Like it came out after that sim session or sim event or whatever it was. It came out a few months
Sim
ago.
Expo?
Yeah.
Yeah. It came out at the beginning of this year.
Okay. Yeah, I just haven't really heard anything about it.
Or
really
beginning of last year. Sorry, we're in 2020 now. Yeah, it kind of flew under the radar. I mean, you hear all about Virpil and VKB now, but Thrustmaster, I think, is still king of the market. I think it's the best grip out there. I like the Real Simulator because every button has push down axes, and the software allows you to do momentary presses, so you can double the buttons on any of your axis that you have, or any of your hats that you have. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I've got both the F8. I've got both, and I enjoy them both. I think one thing I do like about the Warthog grip is how heavy it is in the metal part of it, which I don't get on the FSSB, but in terms of the F-18, I think it's fantastic. And most of the time, I find myself flying the Hornet, so it's great for me. I would like to have the throttle from Wing, but I'm also looking at getting the Black Hog box. So I'll be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I have that ordered, and as soon as viruses dissipate, I think I'll get the world gets back to it. That I understand I'm on deck for that, so it'll be pretty cool.
Are you in You're in 2D, right? You're not in VR.
No, I'm in 2D.
Oh man, you just got to go touchscreen.
Yeah, I've got so, and I think Jabbers just made an update to his he just made an update to the his software. The
Yeah, probably. I think he did.
Yeah, I mean, so the way he's got it set up, because that's always been the challenge for me is like trying to figure out how to configure multiple monitors, and so that seemed to me to be a real challenge until he actually wrote the software. It's pretty fantastic.
Well, you just got to talk to somebody that's done it before. Like I wouldn't have a problem writing it out for you and telling you how to do the
That's
Lua.
awesome.
It's
Well,
pretty easy.
See that? See, look at us. I need to come and ask you all this. You've got all this stuff, whether it's
I'll make you spend money.
but
The nice
Yeah.
thing about the touchscreens is they're so versatile. Like with mine, I have DCS output the MFDs on the screen,
Yeah.
and then I run Helios in the background and make the buttons invisible so I can touch the MFD screen on my touch screen and it triggers the button, like the OSB button. And it's better than a button box. It's so versatile for every plane because I can put crap wherever I want it. I've got UFCs for the F-18 and the F-16 and gauges and all kinds of stuff all over the place, and I can interact with all of it, which is you can't do that with a button box.
No, that's really cool. I'm definitely want to know more about that. But yeah, I'm downstream from you because you go to Jabbers, make him spend money, and then he shows me and I spend money. So
No, Jabbers and I are equal on each other.
Oh, okay.
He imparts on me and I impart on him. Like he bought the touchscreen first and was like, it's a good idea. And then I bought one as soon as he showed it to me.
Yeah, I got one too. It's one of is it the Samsung Touch Display? I've got mine sitting in the garage.
Him and I got Asus. It doesn't matter what ones they are. Any of them will work. But we bought Asus because they've got really small bezels.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Hey, BD, I guess at this point, is there anything else we want to cover? Anything?
I'll just
wait a
want
minute,
to
wait a
say,
minute. I got one thing for Moltar before you bail. Is there a new Splash One server?
Miller Time put up Apex. So
Yeah.
it's the Apex server, Splash 1 edition, and it's a PvE with a PvP twist. It's a kind of a King of the Hill, what's the word I'm looking for? Progressive, where you take over a zone and then move to the next one, and then people can spawn in on Red 4 and try and stop or halt the Blue 4 progression. But it is a lot of fun. I got on there last night against Jabbers in a Suit 27. I didn't find Jabbers, but it was fun. It's a nice change from everybody just playing PvE. I mean, I typically do PvP, but it was fun. It reminded me a lot of, you guys remember when 2.0 was first coming out and F99 had that server that you would fly on Blue 4 out of Vegas and then you could hit objectives and then you would have to progressively hit more and more and then Red 4 would try and stop you.
Yeah, I like that.
Capture zones.
That's exactly how this is. It's the same setup. It's on Caucasus though. But it's
That's
been
great.
good.
I like.
Military-
I mean, new game modes in multiplayer are something that I'm kind of looking forward to.
Yeah, Miller Time's really open on feedback and stuff. So if you guys have any questions or anything, that's on the Splash One Gaming Discord. You can get the details down in the server section, or just search Apex in the server browser.
Awesome, thank you.
for me, guys, sorry, go. Just this coming Saturday, we're planning to record the second part on missions and campaigns. So if you're up for it, available, feel free to join. At the same time, probably.
All right.
Yep.
Excellent.
Saturday or Sunday?
It's Saturday. Saturday.
Okay. That should be good. I can probably make it this time.
That would be great.
I'll just make fun of you. Tell you how bad your missions are.
We already know that.
What a swell guy.
I am. I'm just
Welcome,
bubbly personality. I just bring people up with me.
Mr. Giggle.
As always.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Goat. It's
Yeah.
always a pleasure.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks,
It was
gentlemen.
fun.
Thanks. See you guys.
Hey.
So there's the episode. What did you think?
I think it was really interesting. I mean, sometimes it's nice to go in without any plan and just go ahead. I think we should call it a scramble.
I agree. So I think this episode will be our scramble episode, and maybe that'll be the theme or scramble number 2 or scramble number 3 for the next times that we do it.
I think we need to do it from time to time. It's nice to just go and discuss things away. And yeah, in the background you probably can hear my kids. So this is the good sides of the coronavirus, I guess. Spending a lot of time with the family.
A lot of quality time.
Yeah, so guys, stay safe out there, and hope you enjoyed it. See ya.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to Air Combat Sim. Don't forget to subscribe or tell a friend about it. You have a question, idea for an episode, or a special guest you'd like us to invite? Feel free to reach out on Facebook, Discord, or via email. Air Combat Sim was brought to you by BVR Productions.